Joe Biden got booed by his own people. This is how bad it is for Joe Biden. Joe Biden went down to Virginia, and he went to go help Terry McAuliffe, because Terry McAuliffe is in a dead heat for the job of governor of Virginia. Governor of Virginia is up for grabs. Terry McAuliffe is going against this guy named Youngkin. And for the Democrats, Virginia should be, that's a gimme, man. That's a gimme. Virginia used to be a solidly red state, but with what happens is when the Democrats grow the federal government as much as they do, they bring in a lot of other Democrats who want to feed off of the federalization of the United States of America, and they move into not Washington, D.C. per se, but the suburbs in Maryland and the suburbs in Northern Virginia, right around Washington, D.C. Not Joe Biden himself. And Joe Biden took time out of his not-so-busy schedule. He took time away from ignoring the crisis at the border. He took time away from ignoring the supply chain crisis. He took time away from ignoring pretty much every problem that the United States of America has that he's created. And he went down to help campaign for Terry McAuliffe. But help may not be the appropriate word, because when he was there, people showed up to start heckling him and to disrupt him and to chant at him while he was speaking.
That's right. This is not a Trump.
Yeah, and what he says there got cut off, but he goes, well, this is not a Trump rally, let them yell. And clearly he's never been to a Trump rally, because that's all people do at Trump rallies is yell and chant and scream. But they're screaming about Joe Biden and the Democrats. Fun fact, what these people are doing at the Joe Biden / Terry McAuliffe rally is chanting, "We won't go." And they are pro-amnesty, which means they're Democrats. They're liberals. The problem is they don't think that Joe Biden is liberal enough. They don't think that Joe Biden's moving to the left as fast as he humanly can. They want Joe Biden to be even more radical, even more socialist. They want amnesty, and they want it yesterday. And so they're at Joe Biden's rally, and they are chanting, and they're disrupting his speech. And you know that Joe Biden can barely focus anyway, so he's forced to go off script. Here's what he says.
That's all right. Let him go. Let him go. That's okay. That's all right. Why don't you hang out and talk to me after this is over, okay?
Well, we know that's an empty promise, because Joe Biden doesn't hang around and talk to anybody when things are over. After all, he no longer takes questions from the media or the press. Why would he talk to a bunch of protesters? In fact, Jen Psaki, man, I should have had to hit the Psaki sound already, but Jen Psaki, man, the stack had to go out and lie for Joe Biden again yesterday. She was asked about Joe Biden and why he's not coming out in support of this, that, or the other, and she lied and said that he regularly talks to the press. Here's the question. The question was about, hang on, I'll remember it as soon as I play it.
The president hasn't really weighed in too much in a substantive way on the revelations that we've seen from these leaked documents.
Oh, it's the Facebook linked documents. That's what it is. All of the Facebook papers, as they're called, coming out and really pointing the fingers at all the folks inside of Facebook about the suppression and how they were targeting children, all this other horrible stuff. The president hasn't said anything about it. He wants Jen Psaki to explain why. Listen to what she says.
The hearings that have happened in Congress. I'm wondering if we can expect to hear from the president directly on that soon, and if you could perhaps lay out his position as it currently stands on those issues.
Well, he has a couple press conferences coming up on his foreign trip. He answers questions several times a week, as you know.
Whoa. He answers questions several times a week? That's a lie. He hasn't answered questions from the media in the entire month of October. The last time he answered questions from the media, he scolded them for asking ridiculous questions. Do you remember that? Joe Biden has had 3 press conferences, I think, in the month of October, and he's turned his back at the end of each one and walked away. He never once took questions. He told Boris Johnson's, people, don't let him take questions. He's been trying to handle the press, and by handle, we mean ignore, for a long time. In fact, in the last couple of days, he went to go talk to a group of students. I don't know. I think it was in Virginia as well. And they had a photo op in the classroom. And Joe Biden, who Jen Psaki claims talks to the press all the time and answers questions several times a week, Joe Biden, he talked to the children and he explained to them how he avoids the press. Listen to this. He's pointing to all the camera people.
You know, when you're president, you see all these people here? They're with you all the time. They get to ask you all kinds of questions, and you try to figure out how you can avoid answering them sometimes.
Look at that. So Joe Biden is out there teaching kids, telling kids, you know what I do? I just try to avoid the press whenever I possibly can. And you got Jen Psaki in the White House lying about how accessible he is.
He has a couple press conferences coming up on his foreign trip. He answers questions several times a week, as you know.
I mean, you know what? And in reality, she didn't say he answers questions several times a week to the press. Maybe she just meant he answers several questions several times a week when he's mumbling to himself, or when people come in and say, Mr. President, are you okay? Mr. President, do you remember your name? Mr. President, do you know what the date is?